Hello.
Hello.
Hello there.
So, how did you two meet?
Through fostering. We weren't friends before.
No?
And then I joined your group. I wasn't in your group, wasn't in Denise's group. And then I got put in Denise's group, and we've just been friends ever since. We're very good friends, actually.
For over 20 years. I mean, we forget that when we went into fostering that none of us knew each other.
No.
And now think of our group. I mean, I don't think I could have fostered as long as I have, and my husband, without my friends.
No.
And I really mean that.
No,
The
you could.
support we've got from each other. And of course, we get everything from the key people within Flourish, but also each other.
Yeah. When I think that's what I see when I see you at events and when I see you together, that bond is clearly your support network. Obviously, as you say, you've got Flourish as a service, but you know, your local network must bring so much to you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you can't do it without it at all.
You can't.
No.
We never take each other for granted.
No.
I mean, sometimes I'll literally be speaking to my social worker, I'll be speaking to Kev, and I'll be ringing Michelle or Nicola or Vanita or somebody else in between.
Yeah.
Because, you know, or Misha.
Yeah. So you say 20 years?
Mine's 17.
17?
20 years.
Can you remember
The beginning.
Can you remember what actually? Yeah, can you remember back that far?
Can.
What planted the seed for fostering, and what made you think, I'm going to foster?
Yeah, well, for myself and my husband, Kevin, we haven't got children of our own. However, that is not why we got into fostering. I just want to make that clear, because everybody thinks we got into it to replace what we couldn't have, and that was not the case. We just were, he had his own business, I worked in the prison service, and it was just going to work every day, 2 holidays a year, and it's like, there's got to be more to life. Yeah. And we'd both had good childhoods, and that's what we wanted to give other children, and we'd been thinking about it, and then an advert came out, and we went along to an open evening, and we thought, we're going to go for this. It's a long process, you know, be patient. But and that's why we did it, and that's what we do. We give the children a childhood that they would not necessarily have had, and that is the reason we got into it. And
Can you remember what?
Mine, I'll be totally honest, I never dreamt we would foster. Yeah. So we've been married 34 years this year. We got 3 sons of our own. Mm-hmm. And I literally fell into fostering. Mm-hmm. My husband was a financial advisor. I was in travel for 16 years. And one of my closest friends was fostering for the local authority. Mm-hmm. And she kept asking me regarding a certain lady she had, could I help her and do respite and come on board? And it's got to be a year that I said, no, I can't do that. I've got 3 of my own. It's too hard. I said, and it's someone else's child. It's too much responsibility. So if something went wrong. And she said, it's only day respite. It's just for the day. And that was it. Just for the day, ended up 20 years.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And obviously there's fostering and there's therapeutic fostering. Did you specifically seek out therapeutic fostering?
No.
Or is it something that you've come across over the years?
No, we literally saw an advert in the local paper for a company that was advertising as therapeutic. I didn't know what that was. I didn't have a clue. And that's who we went with. Mm-hmm. We didn't go anywhere else. We just went to them. And then we learned through the training and all that what therapeutic means. So, there is a difference.
Yeah.
Well, I can definitely say there's a difference because we started out with the local authority for 6 years. Who wasn't therapeutic. And it's only then when we realised actually I don't think the children are getting what they deserve and we're not getting what we deserve, that we seek to look for the therapeutic route. And it's hard because when someone says, what's the difference? For me, I think being therapeutic is just, you've got the skills. Most of us have got the skills, whether you've been a parent before, whether you haven't. But it's using those skills in a way where you can adapt them. So the parenting skills you have for your own children, if you've got your own birth children, are very different when it comes to your fostering children because they haven't gone through the trauma. So it's about using that therapy and using the skills to adapt to meet that child's needs because every child is different, let alone foster children when they come in. You can't parent them the same you do as your birth children because your birth children have not been through that same trauma.
But it does work the other way, because obviously I haven't got my own children.
Yeah.
But I have friends who obviously have their own children, and like, for example, I had a friend who was going through a divorce, and one of her child, he was really naturally upset, and he was like 14, 15, so he wasn't little. And she said, I just don't understand it. I've told him nothing's changing. And it was just one simple thing that he really could not handle, was the thought that when his mum and dad split up, his nan used to go for dinner every Wednesday. And he thought that would stop because mum and dad were splitting up. Yeah. And it was really upsetting him. So when she was talking to me, I used my training to say, well, let's look at what his behaviour is. Let's look at, have you asked him if that's try asking him if that's what he's worrying about, because in his eyes, everything's going to change. So that one constant in his life that he's always had, he thinks is not going to be there. And she spoke to him, and that was exactly what was wrong with him.
And was that your ability to, I suppose, look behind the behaviour and try to understand what's actually driving that anxiety?
Definitely. Yeah. And I mean, Kevin, my husband, at one point, he worked in a residential home and he used to come home quite frustrated because the staff there didn't have the training that he has. And they would talk about the behaviours as a bad thing. Yeah. And he'd be trying to get through to them, well, actually, why is that behaviour there? Yeah. But they could, because they didn't have the training we have, they couldn't see it. All they saw was the behaviours, which made that child that person. Yeah. And it's like, no, you have to look beyond that, because...
And it's hard. I mean, we've got to be honest. Sometimes it's really hard to look beyond the behaviours. When you're right in the midst of it, it is hard. But it's just about, removing yourself out of that box. And then I think if we're calm, you can see the calmness within the child. I've learnt so many techniques. My young man can be at the height of a meltdown, and we know just to keep calm. Yeah. We tell him just to breathe, and then every time it works, I say to him, I'm going to make you a cup of tea. Let's sit down. Let's have a drink together. Let's have a biscuit. Yeah. And with me, that works for him. Might not with other children.
No.
That's how it's learning.
And that's the individual, individual application of therapeutic approach, I suppose.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, people panic when they hear that and they think, oh, we're not therapists. You don't have to be a therapist. A lot of it is common sense. Yeah. And I mean, maybe to us it's easy to say because we've done it for so long. And we just know. You might see a mother, in a supermarket being really stern with a child, and you think, oh, that's so over the top. Use this approach. So I think it's just within us, isn't it? Yeah. And even with my grandchildren, I find I'm doing the same sort of things. That if they're not listening to certain things, I'll use that same sort of approach. But it is about adapting. Yeah. And being, every child is different. Every child that comes into your home will be different. You can't use, the same techniques for one child which will work with another one. But I don't know. It does come naturally now, I think. But that's through experience, Yeah.
And do you see the impact of your therapeutic approach, maybe from the beginning to the end of the journey?
Yes. I think because with us, both of us have done long-term children. We do long-term, so we don't get in it. We don't do the odd day here or whatever. We're all long-term. So Denise has had her children for
16 years. Yeah.
My eldest I've had for 13 years this year. So you see what they were to where they are now, and all the bumps that you've been through to get where you are now. But when you're going through those bumps, and some of them are mountains, no, they're not just little bump in the road, they are mountains. But the end result is you see it at the end. And that is my achievement, our achievement.
That's what makes it
That's the child's achievement, because obviously my eldest has said she knew when she was going through a difficult period, she knew she had to put in some work. But she also knows that she couldn't have done that if she didn't have the support from us, the support from Flourish and the support from her social worker at the time. She wouldn't have come out the other side, and she wouldn't have come out the other side. So she acknowledges that, yes, she's played a part, but she also knows with our support she wouldn't have been able to do it.
And you both say that you have children, young people, long term. But actually, when the young people come into your lives, they come with often extreme trauma, neglect, abuse, and what have you. So although it's long term, it's probably actually quite a short period of time that you've got to ready them for independence, kind of almost heal them and then ready them. How do you know, what approach do you take? A young person comes in, what's the kind of the process? And then as they get older, how do you get them ready for independence?
I've never looked at it that way. I've got to admit, as a foster parent, I say to everyone, nothing's set in stone.
No.
Just let the child come in. Whoever comes into your home is going to disrupt your nest. It's going to change the dynamics of your home. Don't look for the future. Don't be looking what's going to happen in 5 years, in 10 years, because then you're putting such high expectations on yourself and the child.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. Come in with an open mind. Come in with an open heart. You've got to have both. You can't just come in and think, like, this child is going to need this. I'm going to sort out the dentist. I'm going to sort out the opticians.
Book says this.
And the book says this. I'm going to tick this box. Use your heart as well.
Yeah.
But on the opposite side, don't marshmallow. I call it the pity club, because, you know, you read their file and your heart will break. Most humans will read my boys' files and their heart will break. But then you can't show weakness, because otherwise they'll just walk all over you. Yeah. It's about using head and heart at the same time. You know, not being so...
You only learn that, though, don't you?
You learn that. I mean, but for me, that's why I never looked and thought, what am I going to do when he's 18?
No.
Because I didn't know if he'd last 1 week, 2 weeks.
But they can't see that either.
No.
They can't see that.
They can't
They
see
can't.
that. And I tell new foster parents as well, don't worry about that. Don't go in with rose-coloured glasses. This isn't one big sleepover. You know, realise that every child that walks in your home is going to come with some form of trauma and loss. You know, a lot would have suffered terribly. You're not brought into care lightly. Bear that in mind. Do not, you know, if you're going in with rose-coloured glasses, take them off. Always walk away. And I would always say that to anybody new, even to family members. My own son fosters now.
Does
so
he?
Proud of him.
I was going to say, how did your children take to you fostering?
They done so well.
How old were they?
So I'll tell you how old they are now. So now they're going to be 32, 29 and 24.
Okay.
My youngest was 5, which is so young when I think back now.
Yeah.
And my eldest son was 12 and my middle son was 7.
Right, so quite young.
So they were young and they just done amazingly. I'm so proud of them. My middle son is now a social worker. They've all gone down that route. My eldest son, him and his wife-to-be, they fostered 2 young people. So I think if you ask them, they will say it enhanced their life. Yeah. But I'm being honest, if we had had children that had come in that were spiteful or disrupted them, then maybe that child wasn't the right child for us. Yeah. When my boys came to me, my youngest was 9 and my foster son was 10. It could have gone the other way, but they didn't. They're like this to this day. Yeah. You know, they've done so well. Yeah. So it worked for us, you know, but I'm not going to say it was easy in the beginning. You know, I had 3 sons of my own and I said, I'll only foster 1. They were brothers, and literally the local authority and my lady that was with me at the time through my agency, through the organisation. So we can't split them, there's 2 of them. You wouldn't want your boys split. Still remember, 2 naughty boys is what she told me. Can't split them, Denise. I thought, 5 boys, I'm never going to manage. Yeah. There you do. You know, and they're still with me. And I love them. Absolutely love them.
We got 3. They were siblings. I mean, I'd had previous, but the 3, which is the eldest one I've got left of the 3 and living with me, they came in one hit. They were a shock to the system, to say the least. And they bring with them their family dynamics. So that's the other thing you have to unpick as well, is what they're used to. And they'd come, although they'd been in care for a couple of years when they came to us, unfortunately they came from carers that were not nice to them. So they had the trauma from their family, and then they had the trauma from being in foster care. So their trust was, there just wasn't any trust. And it was hard for many years. I'm not going to say we didn't have a honeymoon period. People talk about the honeymoon period, and some children, you don't have a honeymoon period. Or if you do, it might not last long. Or sometimes you're lucky
We never had the honeymoon period.
We've had the honeymoon period with with the 2 that moved in last year, but the 3 that we had, no, it was a real shock to the system. And for me personally, had I had my own children, I don't think we would have kept those 3 because it was they were so traumatised. They were so complex that they needed our full attention.
And I suppose that's the importance of a good matching process.
Yes.
Isn't it? Working closely with, the Flourish referrals team or, Josie, etc., to really understand the family and ensure that it's the right match and not just kind of throw children in. Anyway.
Yes.
But also it's about not being afraid to say yes, because if they'd read the referrals of my young men, even us, I think, if I hadn't have had 6 years experience, I would have read that and thought, absolutely not. Pages and pages of it. But sometimes it's
reading between the lines.
It is, and looking beyond that and thinking, oh, well, maybe now we know what we know. No wonder I'd be exactly the same. No wonder they behave like that.
Yeah.
After what we know now and what they've been through. But I always say to people, don't be afraid to say yes. Again, it's not set in stone. You never know. I'm so glad we did say yes. And also I'm glad we didn't know certain things.
Yeah.
And that wasn't because it was hidden from us. It's because my young people hadn't disclosed it. And I'm so glad they hadn't, because if we'd known, we would have said no.
Yeah.
We nearly said no to our first one.
Yeah.
We got the referral through and I was like, no, I'm really not sure about it. And Kevin said to me, if you don't say it, you're never going to say it. If you don't say yes, and if we don't start, we're never going to start.
Yeah.
So we said yes. And, he's 31 now. So
I remember
we still talk to him.
I remember him.
But it wasn't easy. It's not easy. People think they're going to be these little poor souls that come in and they need all this. And they need all that, but they also need very clear boundaries and they need consistency, because they need to build up their trust with you, because the one thing they don't come with is trust, because everybody around them has let them down, and that includes their parents possibly. But they still love their parents, and then you've got the whole, they feel disloyal to their parents, and you have to deal with that and their feelings and their emotions, and you have to do all that, and it's not easy, but it is so rewarding, and it's the little things that are rewarding, the tiny things that are rewarding, the card that you get on Mother's Day, or the little present you get on your birthday or something like that. It goes a long way. I still get them now from the eldest of the 3, Mother's Day card saying, I couldn't be the person I am without you. You're the person I needed in my life. And it's those things that you forget all the other stuff that you've been through with them, but you go through it with them.
And events like Christmas, so, you talk about where the young people have come from and the attachments to their birth families. What do significant events like Christmas look like? And how do you manage it? Because everyone thinks family and tradition.
Everybody thinks they should be happy and all that, but to them it's another reminder they're not with their family. Yeah. At Christmas, some children can be quite can find it very difficult at Christmas.
Some can.
So then you might overcompensate and give them a load of presents. Yeah. And that's actually not what they want. You've got to acknowledge they want to be with their family, and that's fine. That's okay. They're not your children. They are someone else's children who they've been taken from. And you've got to acknowledge that. You can't just say, well, that's it now. Forget your family because you're with us. No. So Christmas and birthdays.
See, I have
birthdays
and
Christmas.
Experience.
Yeah, yours is different.
Mine is so different. So Christmas, our house is really busy.
Yeah.
Normally about 34 of us. There's a lot of us. And my boys were so excited because they'd never had a Christmas.
Right.
They'd never had a birthday. The first time I can remember doing my eldest boy his birthday, his brother was 4 then, and I remember him saying to me, oh, Nisi, thank you. My brother's never had a birthday party. He's never had a birthday cake. So mine was very different with their birthdays and Christmas, and they literally just fell into it and lapped up all the love. And it was not about presents. It's about sitting together, having the meal, spending time. The respect they showed my nana, she passed away when she was 100. I've got a very loud, large family and very close.
Yeah.
My family are from Burma in India. So the connections there are very strong.
Yeah.
And the boys instantly got used to eating all the different foods, try everything. Still like that now. Yeah. So our Christmases and birthdays very different. That's why we're saying every child is different.
Yes.
Every home is different.
Definitely.
Everyone parents differently, don't they, as well?
We all do it differently.
We all do it differently, but we've got to be doing something that's worked because we've done it for so long.
We've been doing it a long time.
My boys are still here, so, still with us. And you've still got one left.
And we're still here,
And we're still here.
And so why Flourish? And what does Flourish bring to the fostering role?
Flourish is people, and also it's the support. I mean, like I said, with my eldest, she went through a very difficult time, and it was after lockdown in 2020. And I have to say, if it weren't for Flourish, we would not have stuck it out, because the support we got was outstanding, and the support she got, and she is very grateful for that, and she fully appreciates it. So they've got the family feel, haven't they?
Oh, I can't.
They're not massive, some of these companies are really big, and you lose that family feel and that family connection. They know your children. They might not know them, but they know you. They know your children.
I know your children, your birth children.
Yeah.
With me, I mean, the same people. When my boys came, they came at 4:00, and Karen was there at 4:15.
Yeah.
And she's still by my side, along with Misha and all the key people. And that's what it means to me. So from the 16 years, I can remember having one of the worst disclosures ever, which, really nearly killed us all. And I filled out my report at 11:15 at night, filling it out. 11 o'clock, Karen's ringing me. And she actually said, I'm in my pyjamas, but I'm going to come over. And I said, no, don't, it's fine. I've had Misha on her birthday turn up at my door again when things haven't gone well, and said, right, what can we do? And she sorted it.
They can have
you are doing nothing, I will do everything.
They have a calming effect, don't they?
They do.
Because you're in it. You're in it.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to go where that child is.
Yeah.
So my eldest was in a really bad place, but I was watching her. Well, it's just horrible, but and I was watching her do things that it just blew my mind, because I never thought in a million years, after having her since the age of 5, that when she hit 14, this would all come out. But it does. It just goes to show what trauma can do. It's, it's not fixable in 6 weeks of therapy, whatever anyone says. So the night that it was a particularly bad night with her, I had Karen again on the end of the phone, and she's literally just talking to me while I'm watching this thing unfold in front of me with this vulnerable child. And I'm having to remain calm and not get involved and let the people around her deal with her. But then Karen's there. They're there for the children, don't get me wrong. Yeah. Flourish are 100% there for the children, but they are also there for us. And they do make it very clear when you get new children put in your home that, yes, we're here for you, but you have your social worker who you can go to. You can come to us, no problem. We will help you. But they also make it clear to the children they are there for us as well, to support us. So, so everybody knows where we're at.
I think for us, it's having the same people.
Yeah, consistency.
And I know my boys, if I say so-and-so's coming or so-and-so's popping around, they're used to it. They love that. It's the trust, because as Nicola said, to build up that trust, that the hands that should have loved them are the hands that hurt them the most. And if those hands have hurt them, how can they then trust
anyone else?
Anybody?
Yeah.
I mean, my youngest boy still finds people in the world scary. Every day after 16 years, he will still check locks and windows in my house.
Yeah.
He will still check to make sure we're all safe. If my husband goes out and comes back, he'll say, oh, Nigel's home.
Yeah.
To this day.
As experienced families, what do you bring anything to new families? Do you provide mentorship, support?
Yeah.
You've got your own network. Do you welcome new people
in?
Yes,
definitely. We do, don't we?
Oh, yeah. I think we're really honest with them.
I had a friend join a couple of years ago, and I've helped her through. She's got a couple of children that are quite complex, shall we say.
I think whatever anyone's gone through, one of us in our group would
That's
have
it.
Been through it.
exactly the same.
Yeah.
So it's just sometimes it's nice just to be able to say, look, this is what I'm going through.
Yeah.
Have you got any advice? What can I do? And it is that family, that friendship. It's you get the whole package with Flourish.
Yeah, definitely.
How lucky have we been to be friends like we have, all of us? When you think of our group.
Yeah.
I'm so blessed, and I hope even when I'm in my 80s, I'll still be saying hello, Nick, and we'll be.
She will.
We will.
We will. Yeah, definitely.
We're
Yeah,
all so
definitely.
close, and I couldn't imagine my life without my foster sons. I couldn't.
No.
Honestly, I'm not saying it lightly. I really couldn't.
Yeah.
Because they've been with us so long, and I couldn't imagine my life without all my friends.
And
just everyone.
Well, it's just nice to talk to people who understand.
That's it.
Because you can talk. I mean, I've got friends that I was at school with, and all this that have got their own children. But some of the things that go on, and some of the things you have to listen to, and what are disclosed or anything like that, you can't go to your friend of 30 years or whatever and go,
I suppose it's only relatable if you've actually been there and done it.
What would you do in this situation? Because you know that they won't ever have been in that situation. So it's nice when you can ring up. It's nice to ring up and vent.
Of course it is,
because we are human.
Yeah.
You know, on the surface we can be with the children, but you go away and you talk to your support network, and whether that's your people like friends like Denise, or whether it's Flourish, you can ring them up and say, I've really had enough of this, because it's okay to say, I've really had enough of this, and they are pressing every button that I have got. It's okay to do that, but people think that you can't, but you can.
And I think the benefits of Flourish is that you're often speaking to people who have fostered,
yes.
you know, whether it's Karen or it's Nicola, you know, that founding ethos is
definitely
from
and
them
there is sometimes there is a difference, isn't there? You can generally tell that they've not been involved so much maybe in children's lives, or children that have had trauma or anything like that. You can generally, because their approach is different. So,
we've always said it, haven't we? We've always said it.
Yeah, always said it. Yeah, we can tell.
We won't say that on camera. What we mean is with social workers or link workers.
Yes.
We used to call them link workers. The best link workers normally, but not Kev. He's
brilliant. Yeah.
He's out the box, but the best ones are normally the ones that have walked in our shoes.
And
have fostered.
Yeah.
Or their family have fostered.
Yeah, that's it.
They understand.
Look at Lukey.
Yeah, their families have fostered. So, yeah.
My son,
but there's some
he's done really well.
Everyone's done. Yeah, everyone.
Because he gets it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You know, it is about getting it.
It is hard when you've got your own children, I think. But
yeah, I mean, I think it's enhanced my boys' lives. You know, I've asked them, and they've always said no, Mum, and hence my.
Well, I was going to say, for the fact he's doing it himself, it must
Flourish,
have done.
Yeah. And my middle son, he sits on 2 panels. He chairs the panels, one for Flourish, and one for another organisation, and now he's with social care assistants. So it's definitely had a really positive impact on my birth sons. So,
definitely.
How funny that we both wanted to say we've all said that about social workers, haven't we? If they've done our job, you can tell straight.
They
get it. They just know, don't they?
Yeah.
But then you get others who are just equally as good.
Equally as good. Yeah.
And then others that are not good at all.
Yeah.
So that will all have to be edited. Don't put that bit in, will you?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that. Any final words from either of you? Anything that you want to add? Any words of advice?
If people are looking into fostering, I'd say just go for it.
Yeah.
Just go for it. It might not be for you, but it might be. It might be the best thing.
Don't
I think
doubt
for
yourself.
Us, it's been the best thing we could have done. I've got no regrets. I really haven't. Have you, Nick?
No, none whatsoever.
I've got no regrets.
No.
And I really mean that.
Yeah, genuinely mean that.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
No, I couldn't.
Now,
and I couldn't imagine the boys not being with us. I couldn't.
Well,
I just couldn't.
No.
You're imagining, aren't you? You're imagining.
Well, that time of life comes. But even now, I'm like, I don't know. I could do. Yeah, okay, maybe I could.
She's
go on
saying
a bit longer.
that. She's got another 2 there, so I know exactly. So
no, it's everything. It's rewarding. It's frustrating. It's upsetting.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
It's challenging. It's heartbreaking. But you've got, at the end of it, you've got to remember they are children, and they deserve a chance. They really do. People say it's their fault they're in care. It's not their fault they're in care. And you've got to always bear that in mind, no matter what they're throwing at you. I don't mean literally thrown at you, but whatever's coming out.
Sometimes they will.
Yeah, sometimes they will. But whatever's coming out, they're children. And you were a child once. We were lucky. I was lucky. You were lucky.
I was really lucky.
They're not so lucky. And, give them the life. If they can do it, let them do it. That's what I say.
Yeah, that's it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
No,
You've tried.
You've tried.